What we're doing right now with Trigris here on 4 is sort of the crescendo of the makeup effects. In terms of design, it's the thing that we really spent the most time figuring out.
Glenn and I worked very closely with Francis to make sure that this came out exactly the way Francis wanted it.
We started to have some illustrators do some ideas, and the idea was to sort of create a character who has augmented her face through tattooing, plastic surgery, and piercings. We started coming up with some designs, and then we started looking for actors that could wear it well and move well, and then we found Eugenie, who just had this sort of cat-like, I think, she was a dancer. So she was, tall and thin, and she sort of had the body of a ballerina and just moved in this sort of odd kind of feline way.
Wow. I wish I had a big ponytail like this.
What they've developed took anywhere from almost 4 hours to 6 hours. First, what they did was they would put the tattoos all up my arms, these gorgeous tattoos. They are on my neck and my clavicle and all down my back and on my arms. They are stunning.
Neville Page and myself worked on coming up with the tattoo pattern.
Wow. Glenn.
So I did all of those based on the original designs. We created patterns that fit her body three-dimensionally. The tattoo transfers. We've sort of found this truncated process where we've cut out anything that is unnecessary or redundant in the design process, and we've really concentrated on providing our makeup artists in the trailer with pieces that are as close to finish as possible.
The tattoos, they are perfectly placed. They're very intricate, and they fit on my shoulders so much that they would wrap around and in and had this beautiful layer upon layer of tattoo, these stripes, just gorgeous. So they would put the tattoos on, then they would start with the face. What they did was they would pull my hair back and put gaff quat on about 2 or 3 inches of my hair to make sure that was slicked back. Then they would get eye lifts, so my eyes were like this, and they tie the little eye thing in the back. Okay.
Good,
yeah,
too far?
mama.
Is it too far?
Well, I mean, it is a little extreme, but my eyes are coming out of my sockets. But aside from that,
No, honestly, is it too far?
We
No,
gotta,
but I will
we gotta
one
get the
more.
weight off. We gotta keep the
Yeah,
weight
no,
off.
no, it's fine.
Is it good?
Every decision that was made between Francis V and I about the design of Trigris was motivated by walking that ever so treacherous thin line of beautiful, but extreme and exotic and something we've never seen, but believable. But it could happen in a world of plastic surgery. And that approach just has to be close enough to human that we can conceive as an audience of her having had surgery and obtaining this look. The first step was we brought Eugenie in and we take a life cast.
A head cast. It's 45 minutes of being completely under 4 layers of goo, okay? They used that form to build upon that.
We did a clay sculpt and did a bunch of variations as far as, trying to find the character. It had to be a cat design, but like a body modification.
Instead of just showing him pictures, we actually showed Francis the actual sculpt so that he could actually see what it was going to look like on her, as opposed to just a picture of how it was going to look.
When we finally nailed the primary form of the sculpture, we then took that and photographed it and went into Photoshop to design the tattoo layout. We sort of shot over maybe 10 or 15 layouts for the tattoo of her face. From those, we whittled down to 4. Then we eventually made some changes and got it to the tattoo pattern. Then I took the 2D of that and transformed it into a 3-dimensional tattoo overlay, which is very difficult because when you take a piece of paper and lay it over a 3-dimensional form, it's not the same shape as it is flat. And suddenly all the stripes in the back that were going this way are now pointing towards us. So we have to figure out how to do that 3-dimensionally through stencils and scanning templates into the computer and relaying the tattoos so that they lay properly.
The actual printing of the tiger was actually embedded into the prosthetic. So it looked intrinsic.
Well, what happened, we first, on the clay sculpture, had to lay them out, and then each individual tattoo had to be sculpted in. So It's almost like scarred, which was very time consuming, but in the end, result was pretty awesome.
In the trailer, once we get here, we're already that far ahead. If we had to put that on from scratch every morning and try to paint it and apply all the tattoos, it would increase the application time by 6 hours or something.
Make sure his nose is up high enough. I thought, well, how are we going to do this? Is this going to be overlapping appliances and blah, blah, blah? But because of the fact that Glenn did all those tattoos intrinsically, it had to be one piece. So when I got it, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be so hard to put on because it's one piece. But after we got it on, I said, you know what? There's really no other way this could have been done, because there would have been weird connections, places. Even as seamless as it would have been, it wouldn't have looked so bizarre and so perfect the way it did. It really came off well. Glenn did an amazing job.
They would glue down the prosthetic, but you'd have to have the eyebrows match, because what they did was they used the natural contours of my face using the eyebrows where my cheekbones are. The eyes would come into the eyes, but the nose was built out a little bit widened and flattened a little. Ears, covered my ears, and then they applied makeup.
And then there was the whiskers. Trying to look at it from the most utilitarian angle, the functionality of the piercings. How would she sleep if she has giant whiskers shooting off of her face? Of course, she couldn't. So they had to be at least read as if they could come off and on. This is a really cool secret. And I realized that I'm sponsored by a company called Iwata. They make airbrushes, and I used all of their products. And when you take your airbrush apart and you're cleaning it, where the very small needle, actually the aperture that it slides in and out of to allow paint to flow, there's a tiny little nozzle tip on there with a screw thread. So that is what it is in the makeup. She has 10 tiny little airbrush nozzle tips sticking in the silicone and allowing the wires to sit in her face. And then we can actually take those in and out for her too while she's working, so that they don't get caught on her hood and things.
Watching V and Glenn work together, that was one of the most exciting days on set for me. And I remember, you know, like thinking, I can't wait for people to see this.
I have contacts in, these cat contacts, which if you don't have a prosthetic on, absolutely perfect, all of a sudden you'll look at my eyes and my eyes would be like this. And I was only able to see through. Okay, so I'd see this amount of people, you know, and I'd look. You know, all of my senses were impaired. My sense of hearing, my sense of sight, my sense of taste, because I couldn't eat. I had to eat through a straw.
V, like, she did it herself. And like, to watch her work and really go in there, it was really a beautiful job. And it was just awesome. Like, just, you know, like the nails, and once she got the clothes on, just the whole look like came together, hair, makeup, and wardrobe. So it was gorgeous.
Okay,
I'll see you later.
See you. Bye. Good luck.
Trigris is interesting because it's really one of the few capital people you really see. You know, our approach was, when the soldiers show up at her place, they basically wake her up. So I thought that was an incredible, you know, how do you wake Trigris up? What does she throw on? What is she sleeping
What
in?
does she sleep in? What does she look like when she sleeps, you know?
I loved the idea of her throwing on this, you know, kimono type sleep robe to answer the door, and, you know, maybe her whole hair thing wasn't in the best shape, so she would throw her hood up and be very like, who is it? But she's such a creature, and the silhouette I think that we created for her and stuff, she's one of my favorites.
We started playing around with some ideas to create a mane for her, a combination of like a wig and a hat and a lion's mane.
This fur piece, you see where my hands are? It was this wide. It was stunning. Literally, it looked like an afro, a fur afro. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. I wanted to walk around, except it dug into my head.
when it all came together and we looked at it on the monitor, it was just like, it all just worked so beautifully together. So those are those moments you pray for, I guess.
I know you. You were a stylist in the games.
Until Snow decided I wasn't pretty enough anymore. I mean, to everyone in the set, I just wanted to hug everyone, and it was just incredible. I'm speechless. It was an honor and privilege to have worked on this project.
It really is a case where I think it even exceeded my expectations.
Trigris, thank you for everything you've done.
It was always a role I was excited to cast, always a role I was excited to see done, but the kind of harmony that came together in terms of the talent at work was really gratifying.